The lie left my mouth because Camille was smiling. If she had shouted, I might have remembered how to defend myself. If she had grabbed my wrist the way she used to, I might have pulled away. But my ex never lost control in public. She smiled as she cornered me beneath the crystal chandeliers of the Halcyon Hotel, surrounded by 200 people from our graduating class, and made cruelty sound like concern. "You came alone again, Nora," she said, "after all those stories about moving on." Her friends watched over the rims of champagne glasses. 5 years had passed since college, but suddenly I was 22 again, apologizing for dresses Camille disliked and deleting contacts she considered suspicious. I didn't come alone. The answer surprised both of us. Camille's gaze slid toward the entrance. "Really? Where is she?" I could have invented a girlfriend who was parking the car. I could have said she was sick. Instead, I looked past Camille at the enormous charity display dominating the ballroom. A black and white photograph showed the city's new museum wing. Beneath it, engraved in silver, were the words, "Funded by the Vascari Foundation." The first powerful name in my terrified mind became my wife. "Sophia Vascari is handling a call," I said. "She'll join me when she's finished." Silence spread around us. Everyone in the city knew Sophia Vascari. Newspapers called her a shipping heiress, a philanthropist, and the youngest chairwoman of Vascari International. People who valued breathing called her family something else, and never where microphones could hear. Camille laughed first. "The Mafia heiress is your date?" "My wife." The second lie was worse than the first, but I was committed now. Camille came closer, lowering her voice just enough to make everyone lean in. "You always did confuse fantasy with courage." I told myself not to step back. That was what she wanted. Camille had spent 3 years teaching me that every boundary I set was evidence I was unstable. Even after I left, she found ways to remind me that she still knew my habits, my friends, and the code to the building where I worked. She lifted my left hand between 2 fingers. "Then where is your ring?" I had no answer. The ballroom doors opened before I could invent one. Conversation died in a wave from the entrance to the dance floor. A woman walked beneath the chandeliers in a black suit, cut so perfectly it looked like midnight had agreed to take human form. 2 security guards remained by the doors, but she crossed the room alone. Sophia Vascari was more striking in person than in the photographs. Her dark hair was swept away from a face that held no uncertainty. A thin scar crossed one eyebrow. Her gaze moved over the room once, found me, and stayed there. Then she walked directly toward us. I stopped breathing. Camille released my hand. Sophia reached me, and took that same hand with astonishing care. She did not ask who I was. She did not expose me. She opened a small velvet box, removed a ring set with a pale oval diamond, and slid it onto my finger, as if she had done it 100 times. It fit. "You left this in the safe," she said. Her voice was low and calm. Somehow, that made the entire room listen harder. I stared at the ring, then at her. Sophia turned to Camille. "We married privately. My wife values discretion." Camille's face lost color. "That's impossible. A dangerous word to use about my family." Sophia's thumb rested against the inside of my wrist, not trapping me, simply covering the place where Camille's fingers had been. The warning in her eyes was not for me. Camille recovered enough to sneer. "If she's your wife, perhaps you should know she's a liar." I know exactly who Nora is. It was the first time Sophia had said my name, and the certainty in it felt more intimate than the ring. Camille looked from her to me, searching for the frightened version of me she understood. Sophia shifted half a step closer. She did not hide me behind her. She stood beside me. "You've made your point," Camille said. "No," Sophia replied. "You made it for me. You approached my wife after she asked you repeatedly to leave her alone. You touched her without permission. You attempted to humiliate her in public. My attorney will contact you tomorrow about the messages you have continued sending from anonymous accounts." My head snapped toward her. Camille's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Tonight, Sophia continued, you will keep your distance. Camille walked away. Her friends followed so quickly they nearly collided. The room exhaled, and music cautiously returned. Sophia looked down at me. Can you walk? I think so. Good. Smile at me. I did, mostly because panic had disconnected me from every other response. She placed my hand lightly on her arm and guided me through the ballroom. Cameras flashed. Guests parted. I waited until we reached a quiet corridor behind the coat room before pulling away. I'm sorry. Sophia glanced toward the ballroom doors. For which part? Telling everyone you were my wife. That was ambitious. You could have ruined me. You looked sufficiently ruined already. I could not tell if she was joking. She leaned against the paneled wall, composed enough to make me feel like the only person in the building experiencing gravity. How did you know my name? We've met. No, we haven't. 9 months ago, at a foundation breakfast, a donor blamed a server for spilling coffee after he struck the tray. You corrected him in front of the entire table and spent the rest of breakfast helping the server clean up. I remembered the breakfast. I did not remember Sophia watching me. 3 months later, she continued, you designed the literacy campaign my foundation funded. Your agency director accepted the award. You stood behind the stage because he told you clients preferred him in photographs. Heat rose in my face. You noticed that? I noticed theft. And you carry engagement rings to reunions in case one of the people you vaguely remember claims to be your wife. For the first time, amusement softened her mouth. The ring belonged to my grandmother. I collected it from the jeweler tonight, after having the setting restored. I looked at the diamond. I can't wear this. Removing it now would invite questions. More questions than pretending we're married? Different questions. She pushed away from the wall. Your ex will not accept embarrassment quietly. By morning, she will search property records, court records, and every public photograph taken of me in the last year. By noon, she will find enough contradictions to make you the subject of a very entertaining scandal. My stomach tightened. You sound pleased. I dislike improvising without time to prepare. I didn't ask you to continue. No, you only introduced me as your wife to a room containing 3 journalists. I covered my face. I can fix this. How? I'll say we separated. 6 hours after revealing a secret marriage, Camille will know she frightened you into retreating. Is that what you want? I dropped my hands. What do you want? Sophia studied me for a long moment. 1 month. 1 month of what? A public marriage. Long enough to establish that tonight was not a desperate lie. At the end of the month, we announce an amicable separation caused by incompatible schedules. Your credibility survives. Your ex loses the satisfaction of exposing you. My legal team documents every attempt she makes to contact or intimidate you. I laughed because the alternative was screaming. You have a plan for pretending to be married to a stranger? I had the length of 1 song to create it. Why would you do this? Her expression closed. Because I can. That was not an answer, but the ballroom doors opened, and 3 guests wandered into the corridor. Sophia offered her arm again. Smile, wife. I should have walked away. Instead, I put my hand on her sleeve. The next morning, I sat across from Sophia at a table long enough to require diplomatic relations. Her penthouse occupied the top 2 floors of Viscari Tower, with windows overlooking the river and not a single family photograph in sight. Her attorney, Lena Ortiz, placed a 3-page agreement in front of me. This is not a marriage contract, Lena said. It is a confidentiality and personal safety agreement. Comforting distinction. Sophia sat at the head of the table, drinking espresso. Daylight did nothing to make her less intimidating. Lena read each condition aloud. The arrangement would last 30 days. We would attend 6 scheduled public events and permit limited photographs outside Sophia's residence. No one would claim legal spousal rights. No one would make financial demands. Then Sophia interrupted. Add that Nora may leave at any time. Lena nodded. Without penalty, Sophia said. No explanation required. I looked at her. You're giving me a contractual escape route? I am removing the need for one. She continued before I could ask what that meant. No forced touch. In public, I will ask before any physical contact that has not been discussed. We will have separate rooms. Your bedroom locks from the inside, and no one, including my security staff, enters without your permission. You keep your phone, your work, and your own transportation. Lena added each point. And Camille? I asked. My attorneys handle her legally, Sophia said. No threats, no visits, no favors from men who owe my family favors. We document, petition for a protective order, and proceed through the courts. I had expected her to promise Camille would disappear. The lawful answer unsettled me more, because it sounded like she had considered what safety might mean to someone who had once confused control with love. Why separate rooms? I asked. Sophia raised one eyebrow. Would you prefer to share? I signed so quickly, Lena hid a smile. By lunchtime, photographs from the reunion were everywhere. One showed Sophia sliding the ring onto my finger. Another captured the way she had looked at Camille. The headlines turned us into a fairy tale before we had finished negotiating breakfast. I moved into the guest suite because Camille sent a photograph of my apartment door with the message, "You always take things too far." Sophia's security team changed my locks, installed cameras with feeds only I could access, and collected the message as evidence. No one suggested I had encouraged Camille. No one asked why I had not blocked her sooner. They simply believed me. In the morning, a typed schedule waited beside my coffee. Our first official appearance would be dinner at Bellafine, a restaurant with a 6-month waiting list. I hate Bellafine, I said. Sophia looked up from her tablet. Why? It serves food shaped like architecture. My favorite restaurant is Maribel's. They make garlic noodles and don't judge you for asking for extra bread. That evening, our car stopped outside Maribel's. The restaurant was dark except for candles. No customers waited near the entrance. Inside, the owner greeted us personally and led us to my favorite corner booth. Did you close the entire restaurant? Sophia unfolded her napkin. I reserved it privately. That is a wealthy person's way of saying yes. You dislike photographers while eating. Most people book a table. Most people are not being hunted by 3 tabloids and an ex with a telephoto lens. Maribel brought garlic noodles, extra bread, and the lemon cake I had ordered every birthday since I was 19. I stared at Sophia. How did you know about the cake? I asked Maribel what you liked. You could have asked me. Then it would not be a surprise. The answer was so ordinary that it cracked something open in me. We ate for 2 hours. Sophia told me she hated yachts, despite owning 4 through the family company. I admitted I had once pretended to understand modern art for an entire date, because the woman was beautiful. She asked if it worked. No. She married me 9 years later after I lied about it at a reunion. Sophia laughed. It was quiet, brief, and completely unlike the controlled smile she gave cameras. I wanted to hear it again. When we left, she paused beside the car. May I hold your hand? There are photographers across the street. I looked at her waiting palm. Yes. Her fingers closed around mine, warm and careful. The cameras flashed, but for once I did not feel watched. I felt asked. The following week, Sophia scheduled a Viscari family dinner. Is that necessary? I asked. The press considers my aunt incapable of keeping a secret. If she behaves as if she has known you for years, our marriage becomes credible. Her aunt Bianca arrived with 2 cousins, an elderly family advisor, and a bottle of wine worth more than my car. They greeted me with theatrical affection. Our Nora, Bianca announced, kissing both my cheeks. At last. You have never met me. Sophia sent notes. I looked across the table. Sophia suddenly became very interested in pouring water. The dinner was manufactured, but the questions were strangely sincere. Bianca wanted to know what books I loved. Cousin Tomas asked how Sophia had proposed. Poorly, I said. Efficiently, Sophia corrected. She put a ring on me during an argument with my ex. Bianca raised her glass. The Viscari women have always confused crisis management with romance. Everyone laughed except Sophia, who watched me with a softness that made the fake family dinner feel dangerously real. Halfway through dessert, the elderly advisor called me Sophia's companion. Wife, Sophia corrected. The table fell silent for half a second. He inclined his head. Of course. Later, I found Sophia on the balcony. You didn't have to correct him. He used the wrong title. It isn't my title. For 22 more days it is. The next morning, I removed the ring to shower and noticed a red mark where the restored setting rubbed against my skin. I put it back on before breakfast. By noon, Sophia had noticed. Give me your hand. That sounded less like a request. Her expression changed. May I see your hand? I held it out. She removed the ring and frowned at the irritated skin. Why didn't you tell me? Because it's a priceless family heirloom, and I didn't want to complain. Your discomfort is not a complaint. That afternoon, a jeweler arrived at the penthouse with 12 rings. I rejected diamonds the size of weather events and chose a slim gold band set with a small green stone. This one, I said. It feels like me. Sophia dismissed the jeweler, then took the ring from its box. May I? My throat tightened. There are no cameras here. I know. I gave her my hand anyway. She slid the new ring onto my finger slowly. Her thumb traced the base of my knuckle once, barely touching. Better? Yes. Neither of us moved. Then Lena entered with documents, and Sophia released me as if the moment had never happened. Camille's campaign escalated. She posted old photographs, told reporters I had been obsessed with powerful women in college, and claimed I was using Sophia to punish her. Sophia's attorneys secured a temporary protective order after proving the anonymous messages came from an account linked to Camille's office. When the order was approved, I expected to feel triumphant. Instead, I shook so badly I spilled tea across Sophia's desk. I'm sorry. It's a desk. It looks historic. It survived my grandfather. It will survive chamomile. She knelt in front of my chair, leaving space between us. What do you need? No one had asked me that during the breakup. They had asked what Camille did, why I stayed, whether I was sure, and why I still missed someone who frightened me. They had not asked what I needed. Can you stay here? Sophia sat on the floor beside my chair for 40 minutes. She did not touch me. She answered emails on her phone while I listened to her breathe. Our arrangement developed domestic habits. I left tea beside her laptop when she worked past midnight. She moved morning meetings because she discovered I sang badly while making pancakes on Sundays. I learned that she checked every locked door twice and hated thunderstorms, though she denied both. We attended gallery openings, hospital benefits, and a waterfront ceremony where Sophia donated a rescue vessel to the city. Each time, she asked before taking my hand. Each time, saying yes became easier. At public events, people called me Mrs. Viscari. I expected Sophia to correct them eventually, especially when no cameras were near. She never did. One night, after a charity opera, a board member said, "Your guest is charming." "My wife," Sophia replied. We were alone in the coat room. No press, no family, no reason to preserve the lie. On the drive home, I watched the city pass beyond the tinted windows. Why do you keep doing that? Doing what? Calling me your wife when no one important is listening. Sophia looked at me. You are listening. The space between us changed. I leaned closer before courage could become caution. May I kiss you? Her breath caught. It was the first unguarded reaction I had ever drawn from her. Not tonight. Humiliation rushed through me, but she continued. If I kiss you while you depend on my home, my lawyers, and my security, I will spend the rest of my life wondering whether you felt free to say no. I asked. And I want to say yes. That hurt more. She looked down at my ring. When the 30 days end, if you still want to ask me, do it again. I turned toward the window so she would not see me smile. 3 days later, Aunt Bianca invited me to lunch at the Vascari family estate. Sophia was delayed at a shipping hearing, so I went alone with a driver. The estate stood beyond iron gates north of the city, old stone surrounded by winter gardens. Bianca greeted me in the library, but she was not alone. 6 members of the Vascari Council sat around a polished table. At the far end was Senator Adrian Velez, whose family controlled the Port Authority and half the votes needed for Sophia's redevelopment plan. Bianca's smile did not reach her eyes. Nora, what a fortunate surprise. You invited me. No one answered. On the table lay a document titled Vascari Velez, Continuity Alliance. My supposed marriage was named on the first page. I read enough to understand. Because the Vascari Charter barred an unmarried heir from controlling certain family trusts after age 30, Sophia had faced a council vote in 6 weeks. A recognized spouse stabilized her claim. More importantly, the spouse's civic foundation could accept the Velez family's political investment without connecting it directly to Vascari businesses. I did not have a foundation, but the documents planned to create one in my name. My marriage was not merely convenient, it was infrastructure. Senator Velez folded his hands. Ms. Bennett, Sophia's choice was unconventional, but useful. Your clean public profile gives everyone room to cooperate. Her choice? Bianca stood. Sophia did not create this proposal. But she knew marriage would secure her inheritance. No one defended her. I remembered Sophia asking for 1 month. I remembered how quickly Lena produced the agreement, how easily the family performed affection, and how firmly Sophia corrected my title. Wife. The word no longer felt tender, it felt stamped onto a contract. I removed the greenstone ring and placed it on the table. Tell Sophia I left it somewhere important. I returned to the penthouse, packed my suitcase, and called a cab before security could summon the car. Sophia arrived as I reached the elevator. She took in the suitcase, my bare hand, and the council folder tucked beneath my arm. Nora, did you know? Her face answered before her voice did. I knew the marriage protected my inheritance rights. The elevator doors opened. I did not move. And the political alliance? I learned the council was drafting it 3 days ago. You didn't tell me. I was trying to stop it before it became your burden. It became my burden the moment you put your family's ring on my hand. She stepped closer, then stopped herself. You're right. Don't agree with me like this is a board meeting. Pain crossed her face. What do you want me to say? Say there was one moment when you weren't deciding what I could handle. Say you didn't look at my panic in that ballroom and calculate how my lie could solve your inheritance problem. I did not think about the charter that night. But you thought about wanting me. Yes. You protected me from my ex, then placed me inside another arrangement. The words struck her into silence. Camille had controlled me with accusations and apologies. Sophia did it with doors left technically unlocked, while making herself the safest place I had ever known. The methods were different. The feeling of discovering decisions made around me was not. Nora, you may leave. I know, that was one of your rules. Not because of the agreement, her voice broke at the edges. Because loving you cannot mean keeping you. It was the first time either of us had used that word. I pressed the elevator button. You don't get to tell me you love me when I'm walking away. I know. The doors began to close. Sophia did not block them. She did not call security. She stood in the center of the hall with empty hands and let me go. I moved into a small hotel under my own name. The protective order remained in place because Lena had arranged for the case to belong to me, not the Vascari family. Sophia sent no messages. For 3 days, I heard nothing except news reports about the secret marriage and speculation about why I had stopped wearing my ring. On the 4th morning, Camille appeared in the hotel lobby. She stayed beyond the distance required by the order and smiled when she saw me. "I warned you," she said. "Women like that don't love people. They acquire them." Security moved toward her, but I lifted my hand. "You don't get to use what she did to excuse what you did." Camille's smile faltered. "Sophia made choices for me," I continued. "When I learned the truth, I left. I couldn't do that with you until I forgot who I was." "You'll come back when this performance ends." "No, I won't." She had wanted proof that I was still shaped around her. For the first time, I understood that my life did not have to become perfect to prove I had escaped. Security escorted her out. I called Lena, documented the violation, and gave a statement without Sophia beside me. That afternoon, every major network interrupted its schedule for a live broadcast from Vascari Tower. The family council had gathered to ratify the Valais alliance. Cameras crowded the chamber because Senator Valles expected to announce a waterfront development worth billions. I watched from my hotel bed. Sophia entered wearing the black suit from the reunion. She took her place at the head of the table while Bianca read the resolution. The alliance would recognize Sophia's marriage, transfer controlling votes to the marital trust, establish a foundation in my name, and preserve Sophia's sole inheritance. "All in favor?" Bianca asked. Hands rose around the table. Sophia's did not. She stood and faced the cameras. "This council has mistaken my silence for consent." Senator Valles leaned toward his microphone. "Chairwoman, perhaps we should discuss private matters privately. You placed my wife's name in a public instrument without her knowledge. Privacy is no longer yours to request." My chest tightened at the word wife, but this time she did not say it to claim me. She said it like an admission of harm. Sophia opened the black folder in front of her. "I reject the Valais alliance. I reject the spousal trust. I renounce every inheritance right contingent upon my marriage, effective immediately." The chamber erupted. Bianca switched off her microphone and spoke urgently, but Sophia switched it back on. "Keep the cameras running." One council member shouted that she would lose voting control. Another warned that the family could remove her as chairwoman. Senator Valles demanded a recess. Sophia waited until the noise faded. For generations, this family has called control protection when it wished to make obedience sound noble. I repeated that harm. I accepted a marriage of convenience without telling the woman whose life made it convenient. The fact that I intended to protect her does not lessen what I took from her. I covered my mouth. "Nora Bennett owes this family nothing," Sophia said. "Not her name, not her reputation, not her affection, and not her forgiveness. Any agreement bearing her name without her signature is void. Any foundation established in her name will be dissolved. If the price of those decisions is Vascari International, the trusts, the estate, or my seat at this table, collect it from me." Bianca stared at her niece, then slowly lowered the unsigned resolution. Senator Valles stood. "You would sacrifice an empire for a month-long scandal?" Sophia looked directly into the central camera. "No, I am sacrificing the empire because it taught me to believe love and ownership were the same." She removed the Vascari signet ring from her right hand and placed it on the resolution. "They are not." Then she walked out. Within an hour, the council suspended her as chairwoman. By evening, financial reporters estimated she had surrendered assets worth hundreds of millions. The family issued no statement about whether her renunciation could be reversed. Sophia still did not call me. She had not made the sacrifice into an invoice. She had not demanded that I witness it or reward it. She simply paid the cost. I went to the penthouse the next morning. The security desk told me Sophia no longer lived there. The council controlled the building. Lena would not reveal her location, but she handed me an envelope. Inside was the greenstone ring and a note in Sophia's handwriting. This belongs to you only if you want it. Nothing else is attached. I carried it for a week without putting it on. The legal separation announcement went out on the 30th day, exactly as promised. It cited incompatible schedules. The internet mourned our love story. Camille's attorney accepted a permanent no-contact agreement after the hotel violation. My former agency director offered me my job back, and I declined again. I started a small creative studio with 2 former co-workers. Our first client was Maribel, who paid us in money despite repeatedly trying to include lemon cake. Life became quieter. 3 months passed before an ivory invitation arrived at my office. The Halcyon Hotel Alumni Association requested the pleasure of my company at a winter scholarship gala, held in the same ballroom where my lie had begun. At the bottom, someone had written a message in black ink. No cameras, no counsel, no obligation. If you want me to stay away, I will. Sophia had not signed it. She did not need to. I arrived at the Halcyon just before midnight. The gala was ending. Guests drifted toward the exits in velvet coats, and staff cleared champagne glasses beneath the chandeliers. Sophia stood alone near the charity display. Without the Viscari security detail, she looked different. Not smaller exactly, more reachable. She wore a simple dark dress and no signet ring. When she saw me, hope crossed her face so openly that I almost forgot every speech I had rehearsed. You came. You invited me. I invited you, not to ask me to stay away. Your technique needs work. I no longer have a communications department. I stopped an arm's length from her. How are you? Employed. Doing what? Bianca and I reached an agreement. She controls the trusts. I retained the foundation projects that were funded independently. I spend most days arguing with school boards and learning how little teachers enjoy surprise inspections. You gave up the empire. Yes. For me? Her gaze held mine. Because of what I did to you, there is a difference. The answer mattered. A sacrifice made to purchase me would have been another arrangement. She had made hers to become someone who could love without possession, whether I returned or not. I watched the council meeting. I assumed you might. That speech was very dramatic. Lena said the same. Did she also say renouncing several $100 million on live television was excessive? Repeatedly. I smiled, then grew serious. You hurt me. I know. I still don't know whether all those careful rules were for me or for your conscience. Both. At first. She did not look away. Then they became practice. Every time I asked before touching you, I learned how much I had mistaken access for closeness. Every time you said yes, it meant more, because no belonged to you. Around us, the last guests departed. Staff dimmed half the chandeliers. No one watched. Why here? I asked. Because this is where I answered a lie with a larger one. Sophia reached into her coat pocket, then hesitated. May I show you something? Yes. She opened her hand. The green stone ring rested in her palm. Lean gave that to me. She stole it back after concluding my note sounded like a tax receipt. I laughed. She was right. Sophia looked down at the ring. The first time I placed a ring on your finger before asking what you wanted. The second time, I asked, but I was still protecting a public story. Tonight, there are no reporters, no family votes, no inheritance rights, and no strategic benefit. She did not kneel. She did not reach for my hand. She left the space between us untouched. Nora, I love you. I have loved you selfishly, carefully, badly, and from a distance. I want the chance to love you honestly. Not as my wife unless you choose that, not as someone I rescued, as the woman who can leave any room I enter, and whose return I will never treat as something I earned. Tears blurred the chandeliers. Is this a proposal? It is an offer to begin again. The ring can mean dinner next Friday. It can mean a real engagement someday. It can mean nothing, and I will still be grateful you came. You planned 3 possible meanings? I am recovering. I am not cured. I looked around the ballroom. Months earlier, I had lied because Camille made me feel small. Sophia had turned that lie into shelter, then nearly into another cage. Now she stood before me without an empire, without witnesses, and without certainty. For the first time, neither of us needed the ring to prove anything. I held out my hand. Sophia did not move. What are you choosing? Dinner next Friday. Her smile trembled. Only dinner? And the chance to begin again. Anything else? I stepped closer. You told me to ask again when the 30 days ended. Understanding warmed her eyes. Sophia Viscari, may I kiss you? Yes. I kissed her before she could make a contract out of it. Her hand rose toward my waist and stopped. Yes, I whispered against her mouth. Then she held me. There were no cameras to capture our first real kiss. No counsel gained a vote. No ex stood nearby waiting to expose me. The hotel staff had disappeared politely, and the chandeliers shone over an empty dance floor. When we finally pulled apart, Sophia lifted the ring once more. May I? I gave her my hand. She slid the green stone onto my finger. It fit exactly as it had before, but everything attached to it had changed. My wife? She asked softly. Not yet. Her expression fell just enough to make me laugh. My girlfriend, I said. If you behave. Define behave. No secret political alliances. No decisions made for me. No privately reserving entire restaurants without warning me. The first 2 are reasonable. Sophia. I will negotiate the 3rd over dinner. I kissed her again. 1 year later, we returned to Maribel's on a night when the restaurant was full of laughing families and impatient couples. We waited 20 minutes for our table because Sophia had finally learned how reservations worked. After lemon cake, she took out her grandmother's restored diamond ring. She asked one question and waited for my answer. This time, when I said yes, the truth was more powerful than the lie had ever been.